We're going to start lying down. Do a little somatic awareness, rolling around on the floor to start and get loose. Loosen up and so the second to just tune in. Do that. And for this, have your legs wherever your lower back feels best. And if you need a little bit of support behind your head, you could also, even here, have support behind your head. If you have, if your shoulders tend to kind of round forward, your shoulders are tight or your neck is tight, and you get more kind of neutral neck and upper back with your head a little bit supported, you can do that. And you can have your feet standing on the floor, or you could have your legs long. And if your feet are standing on the floor, maybe bring them out away from the backs of your hips a bit so you can sense some space behind your knees. So your legs a little bit more like right angles than close. Have a little bit of space. Take a few minutes to breathe as we do and sense into feeling what there is to feel. Just drawing your attention inward. Typically, we close our eyes so that we can feel from the inside. So that we can practice interoception. What is the state of your body, your nervous system, from what you can sense internally? If your feet are standing on the floor, can you sense into the pads of your toes, of all 10 toes, the balls of your feet? Notice where weight just tends to settle in the feet. Does it tend more toward the inner edges of the feet? Do your knees really want to rest against one another? Does it tend more toward the outer edges of the feet, or the big toes, or the mounds of the big toes a little bit more lifted? Is there space between arch and the floor? Balance your weight there, and then just start to push more into your left foot. You're trying to slide your foot toward the foot of your mat without actually moving your foot. And then be balanced again. And then press right foot. Feel your weight shift over into your upper right quadrant, upper to your right, upper left shoulder. And then push your left foot again and feel your weight shift toward your right. And then balance. And a couple of more times, each foot one at a time. Noticing how the pelvis moves in coordination with what you're doing with your feet. Your hips roll to one side, and then you're back on your sacrum, and you roll a little bit to the other side. Does it feel exactly the same from side to side? Is there any differential mobility or just sensation or pressure there. And then bring your knees into your chest. Hug your knees toward your chest. Take a breath. And then let go of your knees and go wide with your arms and just let your knees draw circles on the ceiling. And you're letting your hips move and you're letting your lumbar spine be in its natural curve. This is super relaxed. And then from there, try a few circles where you're going to just try to keep the lumbar spine more long and more flat. So you're going to keep some tension there in the abdomen. So start with smaller circles. Continue to breathe, but there is a little more effort here engaged in the torso to keep your lower back stable and extended. And you can be here with your legs, or you can be up with your feet and take your feet in that same circle. Start small. Switch directions. And then gradually increase the size of that circle. Point your toes if you want to, if your legs are up. And if your feet are more down, if you're still bent at your knees, try not to let go of that lengthened lumbar spine. Good. And then bend knees, set both feet on the floor, and then extend both legs. Long legs and arms long over your head. Hook your thumbs together. Make yourself a longer, taller, stretched out longer. Good, and then bring your feet back up to stand and bring your hands together behind your head. And then inhale, take a breath in here on your back, squeeze shoulder blades together, press elbows. And then exhale, elbows in and your head and shoulders up off the floor. Slowly inhale back down to the ground. And slowly exhale, pull up. Let that be the movement that follows the breath. So undulating spinal movement here. Take one more. Feel the way your spine changes shape, and then start to add the twist and the side bend as you come up. So you come up, and then you twist, side bend, opposite elbow, knee. Balance, re-extend, exhale, come up, rotate and side bend. Release, breathe in. Come back up, breathe out. Rather letting the breath guide your movement, breathe and then move. One more to each side. And then let's do 2 to each side, but your foot on the floor leg, lift that leg extended out a little bit away from you. Inhale, both knees in, head and arms to the floor. Exhale, rotate, go out and up with the other free leg. Inhale, release once more. Just adding a little bit of effort, a little bit more tension in the effort of your abdominals. And then you let all of that go. Again, let go of your head, arms overhead and legs long. Good. Arms back down by your sides and then heels close to the backs of your hips. We're going to take a breath in here on the floor, arms down by your sides. Exhale, push the feet, lift the hips, lift the spine, take the arms all the way up and over. Leave your arms overhead. Inhale your spine back down to the floor. Inhaling, exhaling, bridge pose. Inhale, everything comes back down. Let's do that twice more. Exhale. Leave the arms, feel the arms pull, feel a little pull through the shoulders. Imagine you're just holding on to like a rail or a dowel overhead, the branch of a tree, and you're just letting your body weight hang on that upward arm movement where everything comes back down, where your spine comes back down. So we'll do that one more time. Exhale, arms reach up, grab that branch. Relax, spine to the floor, hips to the floor. A little deeper pull on the side ribs, and then back up one more time. And bring everything back down. Good. And then pick up your left leg, take your left heel toward the ceiling. If you want to just hold on to hamstrings, hold on to the back of your thigh, or open the back of your knee. Hold on to the lower leg. Just put a little extra effort into extending your hamstrings here before we come away from your back. A little more intentional hamstring extension. Okay, and then switch legs. That foot back on the floor. Pick up right leg, shift right heel toward the ceiling. And another breath or two. And then we can let go. Set the right foot on the floor, shift your hips, shift hips to the left, roll to the right, push yourself up from the ground and come onto all fours from there. But let inhale, tilt the pelvis and bring your head forward, and then let exhale, draw the belly upward, look toward the navel, drop the tailbone. Inhale and exhale, in and out, cow pose, cat pose. And then you could be adding little side bend, twisting motions and actions, or side bending shoulder to hip, hip to shoulder. 2 more breaths. Good. And then set palms. How you'd like to set your palms to just be in plank pose for a few breaths. And of course, you can make that more dynamic if you want to come in and out of plank pose, or you just step back, find your support. Find your support, build it up from the floor. And take a few breaths here. So the chest isn't dropped, but the chest isn't also kind of pulled in or concaved. Can you find the middle ground where your shoulders can really squeeze in and hold on? Come down whenever you need to. If you can take 3 more breaths, 3 more breaths. And then drop your knees and go wide and push your hips back into child's pose for a few breaths. Extend back, let that be just a nice long extension down the lower back, down either side of your lower back. Okay, and then bringing yourself back up onto all fours, and then bring your toes under, and then try coming into downward facing dog right from back here. If we did this a little bit last week, a little bit of this last week, where you're almost entirely using your thighs to bring the knees up and then take your legs up and back into down dog. So if you need to reposition your hands a little bit and modify the position of your arms and hands, be a little closer, maybe. Okay, so the knees lift. When you're ready, just push up. From a position where your hips are way back, almost resting on your heels. Forward, drop your knees. Use the legs to get into downward facing dog. Use your legs strength to support the push up off the floor to get up off the floor. 1 more. Good. And then just take a few breaths here in the pose. Then if you want to go out a little farther, if you need to get out a little farther apart between hands and feet, adjust your stance. Okay, and then shift forward, bring your knees back down. In fact, if you can come back down, the reverse of the way you came up. So arms long, spine long, just bend your knees without shifting forward. Set your knees down. And then you can turn your toes back and be in child's pose, or you can just sit on your feet. Okay, I'm gonna I just need to close something that is on that's kind of making noise. So just give me a minute. Uno momento. There. In case there were more dings coming. Okay, and then let's come from downward facing dog. Find a comfortable stance that will allow you to shift forward into a little bit of an arch in the back. So something that looks, maybe feels a little bit like upward facing dog from downward facing dog. Okay, so come back in that same way, using the strength of your legs. Push the feet, push the hands, lift the knees, take the thighs back. Okay, and then walk your feet back a bit so that when you come forward, you're more like plank pose, but then just keep dropping the hips. You're on the tips of your toes. Maybe you're on the tops of your feet. Maybe you're still in the balls of your feet. You're not here long, and then you're up, and then you're back. Inhale, come forward. We're going to try that the opposite way next time, right? You exhale and you went back. The next time you come forward, exhale. So take a breath in here. And then exhale, shift forward. Then I can get a breath in, and then I can exhale back. Okay, so marry movement to breath in a way that kind of optimally accommodates. One more time. You go once more, one more. Good, and then we'll drop the knees again the same way we went up. So stay long in the arms. Try not to let the shoulders shift forward, just bend your knees to the ground. Soft landing, toes back, hips to your heels. Child's pose for a breath, or rest just sitting back on your knees. Yeah, let the breath return. Let the breath get long. Again, let the breath get long and slow. Good, and then we'll come forward and bring forward your right foot. And then curl the back toes under and work your way up into a lunge pose. So push up from the floor from here. The hands up onto the right knee, and then walk your hands back toward the crease of your right hip. And then arms overhead. Take a few breaths and just sit really comfortably in the support from the ground up, through the feet, up into your legs, holding on tight through the hips, right? You're not looking for a deep kind of pulling sensation in the front of the hip. You're looking more for just where your muscles can hold onto the bones. No collapsing, no kind of overstretching or extending kinds of sensations. Just be stable. Good, and then we'll come back to the floor. Find your way back down the same way, the reverse of how you came up, rather. One hand to the floor, the other hand to the floor, drop back knee, shift back, and work that right foot back so that you're on all fours again. Left foot comes forward, curl under the right toes, lift the right knee, and then work your way up. Good. And then just feel yourself sitting in the support of your feet and your legs and your hips again. So you're not here, you're not trying to get too far down, but here, not a lot working, not a lot having to work, legs a little bit more extended. So when you drop your hips and you feel the strength of your legs light up, squeeze, hold, balance, keep yourself stable. Take 4 more breaths. Good. And then we'll come back down. Easy, easy. Reverse your way back down. But take 1 more breath, just either in child's pose or resting, sitting on your feet. Okay, and then 1 more time, back into downward dog using your legs. And then from there, walk your hands back to your feet and take a breath or two in Uttanasana, forward fold. Nice, and then from there, bring your hands to your hips. Can you flex into your upper back and let that lead you up to stand? So start with a breath and then flex and then lift. Good, and then from here, without too much preamble, too much thinking, come right up into tree pose from here. And if you need to move to a little bit of support, go ahead and do that, and then just come up and stand in your right leg or in your left leg. Sole of your lifted foot is either low on the calf, the arch of your foot fitting over the calf muscle, that lateral side of the calf muscle, or you can have your heel over ankle, you can have your toes on the floor, fully on the floor, or if you can grab ankle and put sole of foot to inside of thigh, you can hold here. And just make yourself a little taller, be a little more forward, maybe a little more open in the front of your hips, low abdomen in front of your hips. Feel where weight falls more in the standing foot. Are you more in the ball of your foot? Are you more balanced weight from front to back of your foot? Does it shift? A lot of subtle shifting of your weight. Can you take a tiny little micro bend of your standing knee and push your heel more and use that to extend and then straighten and lengthen your knee? Take 1 more breath. Exhale, lower your arms, bring your lifted knee forward, set both feet on the floor. And take a moment, maybe close your eyes and stand in mountain pose. Close your eyes again to sense inwardly from the inside the sensations of that standing leg and hip and knee and foot. Feeling first at standing right leg and then first and then next the leg that was the lifted leg. Yeah. And then we'll switch legs. And just coming into the pose, just in the placement of your lifted foot, where do you feel wobbly? And then once your foot is secure, what do you do to stabilize where you feel wobbly? I feel it mostly around my knee. Getting that knee to really fully extend, shoring up all of that support around the knee joint. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. Feel the weight in the standing foot. See if you can, like we did on the first side, just micro bend the knee, drop a little more weight, shift a little more weight to the heel, push, extend the knee, get a little taller, reach a little higher. And then nice and slow and controlled to come out, bring your lifted knee forward, lower your arms, and take a breath or two again in mountain pose with your eyes closed. Until everything feels again more or less balanced, a sense of balance and ease in your nervous system. All the asymmetry of the pose is gone, and you feel the balance, weight in your 2 feet and your 2 legs. And then we'll turn and step wide. We're going to turn the feet outward. Okay, and then just again, find where you can shift weight a little bit into the balls and a little bit back into the heels and a little bit forward and a little bit back. Very subtle, but you're real stable around the knees and around where legs come up and meet hip joints. And then see if you could lift the heels and just keep the heels lifted. And sit down a little lower if that's available. Could be a millimeter off the floor with your heels. You can come up. You can come up. You can come up. Good. And then heels on the floor, extend the knees. Good. And then come out with your arms, like goalposts with your arms, bend both knees, sit, push your feet to extend your legs. Can you feel the push of your feet? That is the mechanism that engages your legs to come up. Sit, push. Do just a couple more. Good. And then try one more time, just wherever you need to be in your feet. And go a little bit back and forth where you can feel the balls lift. Lower. And then one heel and then the other heel. You lift one heel and lift the other heel. Just hold yourself up on the balls of your feet. I'm shaking. My legs are shaking. My ankles are shaking a bit. One more breath like that. And then lower the heels and let the legs go straight. Okay. Let's turn to face the short edge of your mat, either direction, whichever foot you have forward. There, right? You have a short step forward, With one foot, you reach both arms up. Nice, slow, and control to come down so that you really, really, really get close to the stability of your hips and legs as you get about halfway with all of your upper body out in front of you. And then you're in the fold. Drop your head, look back here, take a breath, push a little more, engage a little more of the floor through your left foot. Take one more breath. Enjoying the fold. And then can you come back up the reverse of the way that you came down, right? So very stable in your legs. You're going to engage a little bit of your abdomen and your upper back behind your shoulders to go overhead with your arms. So go ahead and reach your arms. If you need to bend your back knee a little bit, bend your back knee. And then just as you come up, straighten through that back knee. Reach all the way back up to stand. And then lower your arms. Give your shoulders a roll. Switch, short step back, second side. Take your time and stop halfway in the folding down toward the floor. Take a breath. Exhale to the fold. And then take a few breaths here. A little push to the right foot now. Feel a little more intentional right hamstrings, extension of your right hamstrings. Okay, and then we'll come up again. We'll just mirror the descent to come back up. So fix your feet and your legs again. Stable, stable. And then lift your hands away from the floor. Release the support of your hands and your arms to go overhead. Push your feet, stay stable all around the hips. Let those muscles stay really stable. And then you're up. And lower your arms. Step your feet forward. And then take back a first side, right? So the first foot that was forward first stays forward, right? Pick up that opposite foot and step it way back. And then come out wide with your arms, right? Reach out and over that front leg to come into triangle pose. And give yourself a big exhale as you turn your rib cage, and maybe you look up or not, or you look out, or you look down. Two more breaths here. Good. So look down, give a little bend to your front knee. I'm just still holding on to my front shin down low. Bring my right foot forward. Bend my front knee and drop my fingertips to the floor. I'm on my left foot forward, left hand to the floor. So my right leg could look up, take it up, lift it up. Good. And then from here, if you're looking down, maybe practice just letting go of the floor with your hand. Make it a standing balance, make it a true standing balance. Grab the floor again when you need to. 2 more breaths. Push out through that lifted leg. Make that lifted leg really firm. Good. And then left hand to the floor, right hand to the floor, right foot to the floor. So you look like you're in Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, exhale. And then bring your hands to your hips. Again, flex into your upper back. Lift. For a strong, straight spine to come up. And then we'll go second side triangle pose. We did that from the front of the mat. Then we just picked up the back foot, stepped back, wide arms. Push the feet, extend the knees. Feel the support around the hips, the pelvis, and then rotate the ribcage. Four more breaths here. 4 more. Play with where your gaze lands. Good. So then we'll just take that slow step forward to come into standing half moon pose. Just hold on to my shin. Move my back foot forward. Bend my front knee and reach down. And then from there, lift up. Both legs firm, both legs active. Play with just making it a true standing balance on this side. What does that feel like from one leg to the other leg, one foot to the other foot? Work this side, being a little nicer to the side if it is your weaker side, but let it work. Stay really firm in your lifted leg. Take another breath or 2. Good. And then both hands to the floor, both feet to the floor. Be in the forward fold. Take a breath here. And then bring your palms to the floor and step your feet back and shift your weight forward into high push-up position. Downward facing staff pose. Adho Mukha Dandasana. And then lower yourself down to the floor, nice, strong. Good. And then slide back so your toes are pointed back. Turn one cheek to the floor, bring your arms alongside you. Feel your heart. Feel the beat of your heart against the floor, against your breastbone. And the floor, maybe even a sense of pulse in your abdomen. Let your exhalations be long, longer, longest. Good. And then let's take the palms to face the sides of your hips, the sides of your thighs. Point your toes back a little more strongly, more purposefully. Point the toes and push the tops of your feet into the floor, flex into your legs a bit. And then bring your chin forward, breathe in, lift up. Fly the arms back. And just stay breathing, floating. Feet rooted, hips rooted and grounded, float your chest. One more breath. And exhale, let it all go again. And then can you bend one knee and reach back with the same side hand to grab your foot or your ankle and just pull your heel towards your hip? And if you need to, and for some of you, it might even feel better to be up on a forearm and then reach back. And just kind of lengthen your quadriceps toward the floor. One more breath. And then switch up on your forearm or down close to the floor. One more breath. And release that foot, and then bring both hands next to the chest and push yourself up and bring yourself to a seat. You could sit up on a blanket or a couple of blankets or a blanket, a couple of blankets or your cushion. You could have your hips elevated for this. If that just helps to give you more length, more space so that you can rotate a little bit more length in your spine just to seated spinal rotation. So anywhere you want to be with legs, anywhere you want to be with legs. If you have a knee lifted, then opposite elbow to knee. So only my fingertips will really come to the floor over here. So I'm just going to leverage that and turn. One more breath on the side. Yeah, and then just as you're here holding and breathing in the twist, just play with the position of your head. You can take your head to comfortable rotation that follows where you're going with your spine, or you can leave your head out of the twist, leave your neck spine out of the twist. Just look back in the opposite direction. One more breath. And then let's let that go. So come out of whatever you're doing with your legs and your prop and your arms. And move yourself onto your back slow. Knees to chest. Then drop your left foot to the floor and bring your right ankle to cross over your left knee. And then just let your right knee move away from you. You can use your hand to press it away, If that gives you enough sensation around the right hip joint, takes you through a nice full range of motion. But if you can come up with your left foot, bring your hands behind the left thigh and pull left knee a little closer at the same time, more resistance against that right knee. Outer hip stretch here, way deep into the outer gluteals, piriformis. Good. And then before we uncross, let's just take the whole cross to the left so that the sole of your right foot is coming to the floor. The outer left knee, thigh, ankle, foot is on the floor. And then I'm just going to hold on to my right ankle with my left hand. And then pick the foot up off the floor a little bit so that that thigh could continue to rotate out and that knee could continue to release away from you. As far as that moves comfortably, just let that be where you breathe for just another couple of breaths. So you're in sort of a reclined, half-bound lotus pose with a twist, I think. Supine Ardha Padmasana. Paridrita. And then pick that right knee back up and let go, and then just uncross that whole right leg. Bring yourself back onto your back, left ankle, right knee. Okay, and you could just stay right here with your right foot on the floor. If the hips are tight, if there's just like not a lot of mobility around the hip joints, you might just be right here, gently pressing left knee, where you could come up with the right foot, hands behind right thigh, draw right knee to chest, more traditional supine, thread the needle, pigeon pose here on your back, take a couple of breaths. Good. And then we'll take the same turn to the right with the cross. As you have your legs crossed, step the left foot onto the floor over on the right side of your mat. Relax your right leg. And then just hold on to left ankle, pick it up a little bit, and then just let that left thigh bone and knee rotate out in the hip joint. Noting as you do differential sensation, one side to the other. Might be subtle, might be barely there, it might be dramatic. One more breath. Yeah, good. And then just release that whole left leg and bring yourself back onto your back. And then extend. Just let both legs go long. Release all of that flexion from your ankles, from your knees, from your hip joints. And so we'll take a shorter shavasana for this evening. We'll take a 5-minute shavasana, and then we'll sit for another 5 if you want to just stay a few minutes past the hour. Support this however you need to. If you want to grab Support for your knees, front of your head. Maybe the one that's jumping. And then rest. So let your body find rest. Just feel the breath come and go, rise and fall. Just welcome each breath. Just stay close. Continue to stay close. Stay conscious of this feeling of rest. And let just 2, 3 more breaths come softly. And so here, just feel free to, if you want, just stay on your back. For this meditation period, you could just stay on your back. Combine your last 5 minutes here, Shavasana meditation, or you could come up to sit. If you have to scoot. Again, when we see you, Mr. Kitty Pop. So if you're sitting, just be in a comfortable seat. Sensing breath, sensing again that state of your nervous system at rest. You can just take a short meditation period and just follow the breath. Nothing else to do. Let's close here with palms together in front of your heart, or one hand over the other hand over your heart. A breath in, a breath out. Those are your practice here. Obviously, feel free to stay if you can stay and sit just a while longer to your benefit. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time once again, and see you back here when I see you. Namaste.